The following couple of graphs show essentially how the optimal consumption bundle that you were able to find at the beginning of this course relates in particular to the points at which the demand curve is drawn based on the consumption of people. So in this example, see the graph on the left basically is the typical budget set that we saw at the beginning of class. And with this budget set, you have a particular optimal consumption bundle, a point at which the consumer is best off using or comparing the two goods at that particular price. So just take into account for this example right now, the first input X1. So at that optimal consumption bundle, at the particular price P1, this person finds that that quantity of X1 is the optimal quantity. So that point in orange, where the indifference curve intersects the budget set, can be translated to a point in the normal price versus quantity graph, where you graph the demand and the supply curve. And basically, as different people have different optimal consumption bundles, and as the price changes, they move their optimal consumption bundles, firms can essentially draw the demand curve, or in this case, not draw, but estimate in real life the demand curve of specific goods. So you have different ways in which the price could change for your good. You can estimate, if I increase the price 10%, how will the consumption of my good change? What will be the new optimal consumption bundle for my customers? And basically, you calculate and estimate different possibilities, or in this case would be all the possibilities, and you can essentially draw the demand curve as the slide indicates. You have different points, and with different points in which for different prices you have different quantities consumed or quantities demanded, you can essentially draw the demand curve for this commodity, or for this particular good. Basically, in competitive markets, all of us consumers are such small consumers that our particular consumption decisions do not alter the market price. If I buy a car, I'm just one of the many, many people in the country that bought, or in the city, that bought a car. So I don't alter in any way the business decisions of these big car companies. Unless I am a very big customer of a very small producer, you're probably not a very influential customer. And most of us are just price-taking type customers. Therefore, the aggregate demand of the market is literally just the sum of all of our demands. So what happens is that if we have different people, the aggregated demand is the sum of those different people. So for the simplest case we could see, let's take the demand of two different people, person one and person two, or person A, sorry, and person B. And you're seeing both of their demands in the slide. So the price, at different prices, the demand of person A for whatever this good X1 is, basically starts consuming until the price is as low or as high, depending on how you want to like phrase it, as P1 double prime. And as you see, from the point it is P1 double prime and a lower price, person A decides to consume all the way to 20 units if the price was free, if price was zero. So let's look at the graph on the left, the blue graph. This is just a demand curve for a particular person. The slanted or sloped part of that graph is typical, like any demand curve we've seen in the entire class. The only strange thing is like the vertical blue line that basically starts from P1 double prime. But it's actually a very simple example, or sorry, a very simple concept to describe. So to this person, the idea is that if the price of this good, one, sorry, is zero, this person would buy 20 units. And as the price increases, the number of units person A buys becomes smaller because of the law of the demand. Up to a point, the maximum price this person is willing to pay is P1 double prime. If the price of this good in the market is anywhere above P1 double prime, like, for example, P1 prime, this person would buy 0 units. And that's why you have a vertical line at the y-axis, because up from the point it reaches this person's maximum price, or its maximum price for willingness with a willingness to pay for this good, he or she would not consume anymore. The second graph, or the one on the right for person B, is the same idea, but this person has different preferences. And because this person has different preferences, what happens is that this person is willing to buy different units at different prices than the first person. In this case, for person B, when the price of this good is 0, it's when they're giving it away at price 0, this person B would buy or would get 15 units of this good X1. And as the price of this good increases because of the law of the demand, this person would buy less and less units, all the way until it's or his or her maximum price, which in this case is P1 prime. Above P1 prime, this person will not buy any good or any unit, of this good. They have different preferences. As you see, person B is willing to continue buying this good at a higher price. This may be because person B has a higher income. We don't know. We're just seeing his consumption, basically the units he or she is buying or willing to buy. That is the type of information we get as a firm from our customers. We can't get into their heads or easily understand if they have more money or they don't have more money. And we just infer this based on. So what happens is that to find the aggregated demand, which is the demand of all customers or of all people in this city or in this market, you basically just, as this particular graph on the bottom shows, you start adding up the units being demanded at different price levels. So let's do it step by step. Let's go step by step. So if the price of the good X1 is above P1 prime, we saw from the individual demand curves that neither person A nor person B would be willing to buy any units. As you see from the blue graph, at P1 prime, this person A buys 0 units of that good. And also at a price above P1 prime for person B, he or she would also not buy any units. And that's why in the aggregate, at this level of price, if this market was composed only of 2 people, then we would know that at a price higher than P1 prime, no one will be willing to buy. And that is something that as a firm, we can now infer and know. And then we start moving downwards on the price and get into a new segment. So this is a segment between P1 prime and P1 double prime. So at this particular segment, we see person A. And person A, at a segment between these prices, still finds that these prices are too high for him or her. And he or she still does not buy any units. But for the second person, now you have reached a price below his maximum willingness to pay. And therefore, he or she will start consuming certain units based on the different prices he or she finds in the market. So what happens at this particular price segment, P1 prime to P1 double prime, is that the demand curve, the aggregated demand curve of the market, is literally just the demand curve of the person with the highest willingness to pay. That's why the aggregated demand in this 2-person economy or 2-person market is just the demand curve of person B. So once you basically go to a new price segment and you continue doing this, like evaluating this idea for different price segments, in this case, we only have 2 consumers, so you would only do this twice. But if you had 10 consumers, you would probably have to have 10 different segments and stuff like that. What you would basically evaluate is now that below the P1 double prime, You have more than one customer that is willing to pay something for this particular product. So basically, the aggregated demand is the sum or the horizontal sum, because you're literally seeing the sum of the units of both customers. So see how at price zero, the aggregated demand is literally just the sum of the demand of person A and person B. 20 plus 15 equals 35. So every single point in that blue and red line would be the sum of what person A and person B would buy. In real life, it would be exactly the same. But you literally just have to sum the, the quantities. If you literally just add them up, you would get la ecuación correspondiente para la parte roja y azul. Other questions before we finish?